looking. I got my cane shades on. They looking. I got my game face on. They looking. I got my cane shades on. They looking.
Sliding, I'm riding, I'm whipping. All them boys know, go get it, go hard for the U, we go harder than you. Getting it popping, 2-1 gun salute. Shout out them boys, footballer hoop. Know we the truth, Miami to you. Orange and green, I'm a rep for the team, but you know what I bleed. FCMG.
Got my game face, my cane shaped like I'm Bo Nose and D Nasty. It's game time and I'm Duke Johnson. I run the ball, you don't do nothing. Sound like a drum line when I touch down. Alumni all in the crowd, we two up, juiced up. And everybody throwing them U's up.
What is going on, Hurricane fans? We're giving you a special show today with my man Earl Little. Earl, what's going on?
And that man, how you doing, man? I'm doing pretty good.
I'm good. What's it like out there in college land, recruiting and all this? What's it been like?
Well, as far as with my son, that's what you're asking?
Yeah, for your son.
Okay, yeah, because I was at FIU for two years, so I wasn't sure if you thought I was still there. But it's good, man. It's fun, man. I just want to give him that opportunity, so when it's time for him to really come down to make that decision, he's not pressured. So I'm fortunate enough where I can, when these teams invite him to come watch them play, I'm fortunate enough to be able to take him to Oklahoma, take him to LSU, take him up to Alabama to watch those big games and things like that. So I just want to make it easy for him because, I don't want him. I've been through the process, being highly recruited, coming out of high school, coaching high school football, being at FIU for 2 years. So I know how the game goes. So I just want to make it a little easy for him. I don't want him to feel like any pressure. And he's a humble kid. He got swagger, but he's a humble kid. You understand?
What's it like? I mean, he's only in 10th grade. He's still a kid. Don't think this is a lot, them coming after him this young?
Well, one thing I learned, coaching high school football for 9 years after I retired, and like I said, being at FIU for 2 years, and it's a new era. This is not like how when I was coming out, when we would get letters, and then the coaches would come down during the season when it wasn't a dead period. Now you have this whole social media era. And one thing Butch Davis said to me, I remember him saying when I was at FIU, he was saying how, Earl, you got to be, him and I was watching tape on the kid, and he was like, Earl, he said, it's crazy nowadays that in order for you to really get into recruiting a kid, you got to pretty much offer them before you can really talk to them. So I get it because it's a whole new era. I mean, you don't see a lot of 21 personnel like you saw when I was coming up. Tight end, 2 wide receivers, and 2 backs. Now it's 10 personnel. It's spread offense, 4 or 5 wide receivers. So the game has changed. And so with the game has changed, also the recruiting has changed, and it's big. So it's a lot of pressure for a lot of these kids, but at the same time, if they can handle it with their ego, they'll be all right. But sometimes it gets to a lot of these kids' head as well. So you're kind of caught up in that gray area.
Well, you're talking about, you have to offer the kid to talk to the kid. Here's the thing about though that I'm not understanding, right? Even with your son. Shouldn't they know what kids in the youth level in South Florida are gonna be the studs coming up?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it, man. That's my school. I love them to death, and I bleed orange and green. I mean, I'm 100% a Miami Hurricane, but I don't understand it like you said because you can see the kids at the youth, but then at the youth you can keep an eye on them or whatever. But then once they get to high school and you start to see them develop, say, okay, because sometimes, a kid could be a beast at the youth level, but he may not grow. Yeah. His height, his weight, or whatever for that position may not be the same. He may be a realized stud. So you kind of have to wait and sit back and see. But then I can just use my son for an example. And this is not taking no shots at the school or anything, because like I said, I'm all about my school and of course about my child. He played varsity last year, and he played mostly JV. Then when he moved back, he played like 30 snaps in the second round playoff game last year. And he ended up fracturing his wrist, whatever the case may be. So this year, he was full go. See, my son didn't get his offers until spring ball. The coaches came out there, and they saw him at practice. And it was like I got a text from Pat Sertan one night just before I even joined the staff, and Pat was like, "Hey man, he said some good things about my son." And then one coach, and I'm not going to say the coach name from whatever university, he was out there to look at two senior dudes, and he saw my child, and he was like, "Man, that kid right there he's that dude. I know I'm not going to be able to get him when his time comes." So, that was on. Then it started coming out. Now, to not throw nobody up under the bus, and I won't do that. And it's not taking no shots because how some things can get misconstrued when you're talking about stuff like this.
Yeah, I know.
It's just the fact that here I am, a Miami Hurricane. I bleed orange and green. Now, there is one guy on the staff over there that I always reached out to him and let him know, hey, this is what's going on. I wasn't asking for no offer for them to offer my child because my child, I want him to earn everything that he got because I know some people would think, oh, he only getting this because of his dad. Man, you can go look at my child film that I used to post on Facebook from the time he was 7, 8 years old. He's been a beast. You know what I mean? He's been super athletic. Soccer, baseball, football, track, 7-time USA Youth Track and Field All-American. So the kid got game. His game speaks for itself. So with that being said, I would let this one particular person know, hey, man, this is what's going on because I want my school to have every opportunity and a fair chance to be at my child. Now, it's his decision where he's going to go to school. And like I told them, listen, you guys have to recruit my son just as hard as everybody else has to recruit him because I'm not going to UM anymore. I already did my 4 years there, got my degree. It's his decision. I'm going to support him no matter what. If he wants to go to LSU, if he goes to Alabama, if he goes to Oklahoma, if he goes to Miami, or wherever he goes, I'm going to support him 110%. So I just think, and as all the other offers came, I would reach out. When I went to LSU over the summer and Coach Ogeron offered him, I got a text from that one particular coach, and he was like, wow. And then the only thing I could say is just laugh out loud,
Looking at your situation, right, I see a lot of fans like, his son should go to Miami. And, a lot of these fans don't really understand the college game. Because I try to put myself, I put myself in, if my son was as good as your son, let's be realistic. You go to LSU, I mean, packed house every game, right? You're in a college atmosphere. I don't think these people really understand, and then some of these kids want to get away from home. But some of these Miami fans are so stuck. I don't know what they're stuck in. But I just don't think they get it sometimes.
Hello?
Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I just think sometimes these Miami fans just don't get it, and it puts you in a bad situation because you are a Hurricane, and they're expecting you to push your kid to Miami.
No, I would never do that. I would never ever do that. I mean, even some of my Kane brothers, they'll hit me up on social media, and stuff like that. They won't say that, but it's kind of like, what's up, man? Let's get them boys down to Heritage. I mean, from Heritage down to the U. And I'm just like, yo, I don't coach at Miami. I don't recruit. Shoot, Mike Rump coached at American Heritage. That should be one of the first stops that they should go as a staff over there. Because they're ballers that's at Heritage, and we got a young team over there at Heritage, so we got some kids that can go. And then, but I don't care about what people say and what fans say or whatever, but I'm willing to have a discussion with them. I'm not into the Twitter fingers and going back and forth as a quote unquote so-called beef or anything like that. But I'm willing to discuss it because I just think a lot of fans, their emotions, and they so highly supportive of the Miami Hurricanes, and so am I. But I would never tell my son, hey man, you got to go to Miami because I went to Miami. No, you got to make. I told him from day one, people gonna come after you because of your name. I'm talking about wide receivers and quarterbacks because they're gonna test you because your name Earl Little. They're gonna want to see what you're about, and you gotta create your own name. You got to create your own lane, and that's what he's been doing. So I never really forced anything on him. I just supported him, and when it comes down to him to making this decision, I'm gonna give him the pros and cons, and we'll sit down and talk about it. And then wherever he decides to sign, that's where we're gonna go.
At your age, was your son better than you at the same age? Or more advanced?
I get that.
More advanced?
I get that a lot. Honestly, he's at this age, yeah, he's way better than me. And I say that and I say that because I think Devin Bush Senior, he's my good friend. We talk, and we always talk or whatever. We had built our homes in the same neighborhood, and so we always been close since high school. He went to Miami Lakes. I went to North Miami. But anyway, we always talk ball. Always talk ball. And we played his last 2 years in the league. I think Devin played 8 years. I played 9. And his last 2 years, we played together in Cleveland. We started safeties together in Cleveland. So it was we got a brotherhood. So we always talk ball. And he said, man, we never had all this stuff that our kids have and these kids have nowadays. And with that being said, like the training and the education, about football and all that, these kids, man, they got it. They got a foot up on us. We were just playing street ball, sandlot ball. I didn't have like off season conditioners when I was a kid and stuff like that. So, but his skill level, man, is up there. So, I remember when he was 7 years old, we played in the All-Star game. My parent came up and like, hey, man, who was that kid with those silver cleats on? I had bought him a pair of silver, because he played soccer too, so silver soccer cleats and some Under Armour cleats. And we was doing cone drills, and he was like, man, his feet are nice for a kid that age. So he's always had it, man. So yeah, I think at this age, yeah, I give him the edge over me.
About 5 years ago, I ran into Blue at a 7-on-7 tournament, and he told me that should have hired you on staff. This was when Al Golden was there.
Right. Well, I go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Would that ever interest you to be on staff at UM?
Man, I've said it to people that know me, who's been around me, whatever. When Al was there, I had a conversation with Al, and I remember coaching at his first high school football camp. They asked me to come down and I coach, and my boy G Mac, the wide receiver coach at the time, Big G Mac at NC State now. And G Mac was like, man, Al was really impressed with you, man. He really liked you, whatever. So my dream job will always be to coach at the University of Miami. Like that's without a doubt. Like I said, I believe it, and I'm not trying to get a job down there right there because if nobody don't want you, I don't want to be nowhere where I'm not wanted. But if the opportunity ever presented itself, you damn right I'll coach at DU. That's my school. I love it.
Yeah. What's Butch Davis like? I mean, they call him the best talent evaluator ever. Is he really that great at it when you're with him in person?
Yeah, Butch is a damn good. Butch knows ball. Butch knows ball, man, and sitting in those staff meetings with him and just going over the way we would evaluate people, the way Jimmy showed him, and the way they did it at the Cowboys, and that's the way we did it when I was down there at FIU, evaluating players and just talking with him and just listening to him. Because I've always been a guy that sat back and observed, and I learned like that because I always knew I wanted to coach. So I just sit back and when I had Chuck Pagano as my coach at UM, and I also had him. I played 6 of my 9 years for the Browns, and for my last 4 years in Cleveland, I had Chuck Pagano and Todd Bowles as my secondary coaches. So I would evaluate those guys and learn from them just by watching them teach us and coach. And I see where Chuck can get that from because Chuck was under Butch Davis from the time he was at UM. And Butch, he knows ball, man. He knows how to get these kids, and he knows what to look for. Like, just one example, he was telling me, he was like, when you look at a kid that's a tall, skinny kid or whatever the case may be, is he going to be a defensive lineman, a defensive end, or he going to be a D tackle or whatever the case may be? Just little things like he said, Earl, you got to look at their butts, look at their hamstrings, and see how that, if they big enough there, they're going to pan out that they're going to be you probably have to move them inside to be a D tackle. Just little things like that. But as far as evaluating people, man, and knowing ball and knowing how to go out there, man, Butch is a savage, man. He's a beast at that. He's A1.
Because that brings up the question. I mean, should Miami have brought him back?
Man,
I think so.
Man, but
my opinion, I think they should have.
I think everybody down here wanted Butch. Like I said, Butch is a damn good coach. And Butch is a hurricane, and I Butch interviewed for the job. I don't. I know some things that went down from what I was told by somebody, but that's something I won't even talk about. About some of the questions they was asking Coach. When I say Coach, I mean Butch. For whatever reason he didn't get it. But I know Butch wanted that job. And I think Butch would have did a damn good job because everywhere he's been, his record is proven itself that he's turned things around. We can go back to Cleveland. When he came to Cleveland,
y'all went to the playoffs.
I got there. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said y'all went to the playoffs.
Yeah, we went to the playoffs, and we should have made the playoffs the year before, even though we had a 7-9 record the first year he was there. But I don't know if you heard about the Bottle Gate. They call it the Bottle Gate game against Jacksonville when we Quincy got the first down and we ran the play, and then they came back to review that play and say he didn't catch the ball and it wasn't the first down, and everybody started throwing bottles at the referees and stuff like that. In that year, the AFC was such a tight race that we still could have made it like an 8 seed, but then we make it the next year. So we had a squad and we had some players like that. He really turned it around, man. So he know what he's doing. He went to North Carolina. Look what he did over there in Carolina. So even with the guys that with down at the U, he came in my junior year. Then we was on probation for what happened prior to him coming there. And then of course that we was going to take a hit because as I'm not mistaken, we barely had scholarships. Santana Moss came on as a track scholarship. But then once he got those kids going and he started hitting the areas down here and getting the Jonathan Vilmas, getting the Clinton Porters, and EJ came in my senior year, and just getting all those guys, Nate Webster, and just so many guys, you got to give credit to Chuck Pagano, Coach Coker, Coach Shannon, all those guys were there. So when recruiting, I know Butch get a lot of credit for the recruiting, but those coaches, other coaches, they need to get some of that credit as well because it's a team thing as far as recruiting. So we won 2 national championships, and we should have won 2. We lost. I don't even like to say we lost to Ohio State.
It should have won 3. Should have played Oklahoma that year. They went to
the Sugar Bowl. They ripped us off with that one.
Oh man. Yeah, but man, do you think that Butch Davis regrets going to the Browns? Like, man, I could have. He would have been. Let's be honest. He would have been Nick Saban. He would have been Nick Saban.
You know what? I never thought about that until you just said it. I think so. I think so. If he would have stayed, he could have. Yeah, he could be what Nick got going on right now. Because man, those squad. Like somebody asked me. Last week about the greatest college football. If Alabama, if LSU wins it all this year, are they the greatest? They can be the greatest college football team ever. I said, are you crazy? I said the team that didn't win the national championship. That won the national championship was the 01 team. I said that's the greatest college team ever.
I think the 2000 team might have beat them. I like the 2000 team is my favorite team because you had Wayne and Moss, Dan Morgan. They were all seniors.
Yeah, that squad right there. That squad. That's what I'm talking about. That squad right there. Those guys. They just was deep, man. I had to tell the person, man, I think he had like 17 first-round draft picks or something off that squad. It's just like that was just a team that I don't care what they say, and I just think it's biased when I think they put above that team. They had the number 2. I think they had Nebraska.
They put Florida State.
Who did they have?
That year they put Florida State, Oklahoma, and Miami beat Florida State.
Right. No, I'm talking about
the next
they had
year?
like the greatest teams in college. No, I'm talking about it was just recently, like a year or two ago.
I think they put
they
Nebraska
like
over them. I think they put that Nebraska team.
Yeah. Come on, man. No, it's not even close, bro. Not even close.
That option would not have worked against that defense. That defense is too fast. It wouldn't have worked if they played.
Yeah. Sure, man. We had them on the ropes in the '94 game, the January '95 game. We had them on the ropes.
In the Orange Bowl.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I missed the tackle in that game. I was playing with I got a nice interception in that game. I remember hitting that kid Muhammad, and I remember I had a concussion. I played with a concussion the rest of the year. I didn't really know what was going on throughout that game. And I remember I missed the tackle in there. I know I remember missing the tackle with Corey Schlesinger. He jumped over. And I'll never forget that. That's a play right there, man, that it hurts me to this day.
Do you
That
remember?
I wish I could.
You remember playing
Huh?
Florida State that year in the Orange Bowl? That place was freaking rocking.
Man, the only
Oh,
game that I've ever played in that can match that is the year we beat Atlanta to make to make the playoffs in Cleveland. The 2002 year. We played Atlanta. Mike Vick was the starting quarterback. I mean, it was electric in Ohio, in Cuyahoga County, in Cleveland. But I still give that FSU in Miami game that year we beat them. I've never been in that type of electrifying crowd as a player than that one. Now, I will say this: when my son and we went up to LSU to watch them play Florida this year, bro, I've never been in an atmosphere like that as a fan. And that SEC, that right there, Death Valley, bro.
you know
You get recruits to go there and see that. That's hard to turn away, bro.
that's what I would try to tell Miami fans. Like they don't understand that a recruit goes to Sun Life Stadium and there's no one in there.
I'm so mad that they didn't. I'm not sure what it was. It was $10 million to help do renovations in the Orange Bowl or whatever it was, or whatever the politics that got involved with that, man. That is so crazy. If we had, I mean, the city of Coral Gables, they don't want it. You know, you got too many rich people over there who don't want no stadium down there. So there's no area to put it there, I guess. But if we could have kept the Orange Bowl, at least the Orange Bowl, if we couldn't put somewhere over there near campus, man, I mean, just to have that type of atmosphere, oh, bro, it would be crazy because you got to leave Coral Gables, you got to drive all the way up to Hard Rock to go watch them play. It just takes it away. But that Death Valley, man, that's a whole nother level right there, brother. Whole nother level.
How about Oklahoma? What was that like?
Not the Oklahoma game kind of reminded me because I went to Texas and Kansas game this year too, and they kind of seemed the same. It really wasn't. I mean, they played TCU, who's a good squad. That's a good team, but it really wasn't electrifying like that. Now it was a good visit there. I mean, it was A1 class and all that, but just the electricity that I felt at Death Valley, man, that was crazy. Yeah, I mean, nothing. All the stadiums I've been to this year, which is Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, it doesn't match with it. But I mean, the crowd noise was like that 103, 104. It was bananas out there, bro.
Man, that's crazy. How about
It was bananas.
I mean, you've known Coach O for a long time, correct?
Oh yeah.
What did you ever think he would be in this position? I mean, this guy has the best team in the nation.
Man, you know what it is, man. It's we all as people, as human beings, none of us are perfect. We all go through whatever we have to go through, and we have to learn from that. And Coach O is a prime example of somebody going through a stage in their life and getting corrected and got to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I need to change. I need to do better. You know, and accept accountability of your mistakes or whatever the case may be. And for him to go through what he went through and then to go to Ole Miss at USC, you know, he was at Miami, you know, when, you know, our D-line coach down there. And then for them to say, okay, we're going to hire a coach. Oh, and to do what he's doing there, man, those kids will run through a wall for him. And I'm so happy and so proud of that man because he really cares about those kids. He really cares about those kids. And for him to go get Joe Brady, a South Florida kid, he's not the offensive coordinator, but he's the passing coordinator. He's pretty much, you can call him the offensive coordinator because they throw the ball 1,000 times a game. I mean, that says a lot, bro. Coach O got it. He's doing something special down there, man.
When you watch LSU, does it remind you of the old Miami? The way they're aggressive, the way they're attacking on offense?
Bro, I mean, that's exactly what it is. I'm talking about from everything on down. I'm going to tell you exactly what he told me when me and my son was up there June. We went up there June 5th, 6th, and 7th. We was there. and we were talking, and he was just like, "Hey man, Miami, that swagger, take something from that, take something from that, um, and put it up with these guys. This is what you're going to get." And then to see that offense, the way they throwing it around and slinging it, man, that's it. That's that old Miami. That's that old Miami way right there. That's exactly what you're seeing.
What is Miami missing? What are the Canes missing?
Um, like I told the coach who I was talking to down there, and actually, I think it's called King Sport, whatever the website. They interviewed my son after he was offered, and what he said, and he wasn't even piggyback off me. It's just what he had said because I wasn't there when he did the interview. He just told me recruiting. They just got to recruit harder. I just think in this day and age, now these kids can go on these seven. Because dude, I never went on like college visits until I had to do my official visit
Visits.
when I was in high school. These kids go to SEC land in the summer. They go do 7-on-7 tournaments all over the country. Even my son, with his youth 7-on-7 team, we played in Vegas, bro. These
Yeah.
kids playing in Vegas. They going his youth football team when he played his last year, well, not his last year, that one year with the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes. You know, we went out to Texas to play a team that hadn't lost in 4 years and beat them 39-zip. You know, these kids are being able to compete and go on these visits and see these places at such an early age. It's I love it. I love that they get to see that. And then with social media, that makes it harder because some kids just want to get away. And then when you got a school like Alabama, that's pretty much like how the U was back in the 90s and 80s and the early 2000s. And you got LSU. You got these teams like that, you know, it makes recruiting hard for them because,
Yeah, but
you
don't
got
you?
these other schools, they're coming after them.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not. I don't think Kane fans are asking for national championship right now. And the way we've recruited, even when Golden and Shannon were here, we've recruited good enough to win the Coastal. I mean, to beat a Duke, to beat a Georgia Tech that's rebuilding, to beat an FIU, to beat a North Carolina that's only won 3 games in the last 2 years. I mean, I just don't understand it. And in my opinion, it's got to come down to coaching. It's got to come eventually. It's got to come down to coaching.
Man, at the end of the day, it always comes down to coaching. It comes down to coaching, but it also the players got to take responsibility as well. But it starts from the top. It starts from as
How,
far as when it comes to the ball. As far as when it comes to ball, it starts with the head football coach. It starts with him, and then his assistants and the players. So everybody's involved together. Now, if you want to ask me, and I'm just going to throw this question out there and throw this out there, not even a question, a statement. What I was told, I think it was after Golden, after Golden left. Mike Leach was coaching at Key West High School.
oh man,
Mike Leach wanted the job at the U.
that would have
Mike
been
Leach,
scary.
from what I was told, hear me out. From what I was told, and I got this from, I'm a Hurricane. I got this from some real live Canes. That Mike Leach told, I don't know if it was the president, the AD, whoever he told the important people there, that he would coach the first year for free. That's how bad this man wanted this job, and he still said no. Can you imagine
Oh no.
the talent and the offense that we could have with Mike Leach? And that was my pick. If I had anything to say about it, I wanted Mike Leach before I even knew that happened. And I just found this out about 2 years ago.
Mike Leach
So
is
when I knew this,
Mike Leach is on
go
top.
ahead.
He, on my opinion, he's one of the top guys I would go after because what he's done at Texas Tech, what he's done at Washington State, which was a 1-11 team,
Yep.
who knows what he would do with top tier talent.
Dude, like I think people run away. See, people run away from guys like him because remember he had the little gray cloud over his head when the little
Yeah.
what was it, Craig
Yeah,
what was it, his
James,
son
Craig
or whatever
James'
little
son.
situation. He got cleared from that, whatever. But he had that, and then I just think that some people at my school, bad foot is not there anymore. But I really believe that people want it to be like a Big Ten type school. Like like a true ACC, like the Dukes and all that. Academically, yeah, I get it and all that. But if you ever look at it, and it's already been proven, Alabama, as much as they've been winning, the applications and the enrollment goes up. When your football program is popping, the school is going to get more money. The school is going to get more students to apply to go to school there. Who doesn't want to come to Miami and live and for 4 years and have fun and play ball and have a football team that got that swagger and go out there and play? If you put a Mike Leach over there running that offense, see, but Mike Leach the type of, I guess he's like supposed to be some type of rebel or whatever.
Yeah.
No, man, I don't want no yes man. I want somebody that's going to go out there and get it done like Jimmy Johnson, like Bush Davis. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a Coach Harrison guy. I had Coach Harrison for 2 years. Man, we would run through a wall for Coach E. A lot of people didn't like Coach E. They say this and all that. I was in the locker room. I don't went through the wars with this man. That dude was a player's coach, and and when I say about player's coach, I mean he got on us when he had to get on us, and we won. And he won. Yeah, he may have won. He didn't build the program. Howard Snellenberger, he the godfather. He started. Then Jimmy came in. Jimmy didn't win 10 games when he first got there. He was, 8-4?
Yeah.
Then he did his thing. And then Coach E came in, and Coach E did his thing. And then Butch came in with the whole NCAA violations, the probation stuff. Then he got through that, and he got it to where it's supposed to be. So you're talking about guys that know how to coach, who've been through there and did it.
I mean, you were there when.
Why not give Mike Leach?
You were there when Butch first came in. Well, when he first came in, was he an asshole? Like, yo, you're off the team. You're not doing what I want. You're off the team. Is that what Butch came in and did?
No, Butch didn't do that. Not to my knowledge. I just know Butch. I just know Butch came in, and he was hard nosed, And when you bringing somebody in, after we been in the newspaper for some now don't get it twisted. It ain't like we were choir boys or whatever the case may be. And I wasn't in trouble or anything like that. But I say we because we are 18, so we all had to deal with that. But he came in and he had to do what he had to do. He's a Jimmy guy, so he's learning from Jimmy. So I remember reading as a kid because I grew up a Cowboys fan as a kid, and I remember reading and guys didn't even want to play for Jimmy. He was so tough with the Dallas Cowboys when he took over the team. So you gotta understand where Butch was coming from. So, but there are some things, and there were some players who didn't like what was going on when he came. Hey, sometimes and I'm not a yes man at all, but sometimes, hey man, there's some things we got to change. You got to change the culture, and he eventually did it.
Do you think? Okay, I mean, you've been a head coach. First question, you're a head coach. How do you get the guys to accept responsibility, and how do you get guys to become leaders?
Well, this is the way I did it, because you got to take something from guys that you were coached by, and you got to learn from them. Like I told you, I evaluate when I knew I wanted to coach, so I would look at Chuck Pagano, I would look at Todd Bowles, and I would listen and learn from those guys. Bruce Arians, who was our quarterback, offensive coordinator, Bush Davis. I learned from all these guys, Coach Erickson, and I took a little bit of everything that I learned from those guys, and I also implemented the way I like to do things, because I can't remember his name. He was Coach Robinson. He was our DB coach in '94. He came in there with Greg McMacken. And one thing he told me, he was like, I'm gonna keep it. He didn't say keep it real. We wasn't saying that phrase back in the day. He was like, I'm gonna be honest with you straight up. And that's all I wanted. I don't want a coach to say something to me and really don't mean it. If you say it, you got to mean it. And I remember getting that from Coach Robinson. So when I became a head football coach, I would say things in front of the kids, and my kids from Jackson, when I coach there, they'll tell you. And my coaches, Coach Kenyatta Lewis, Jamilio Lewis, his brother, Coach Kevin, my boy Kev, that been coaching with me since 2010. Uh, I would say things in front of the kids. If you steal, and I find out that you're stealing from your teammate, you will be off my team. And I would give them, and I don't even like to say rules. They're just things that we just gotta follow and set standards. I get that from Mike Krzyzewski. So I picked up a lot of things from these guys, and I would go by. And once you say it in front of the team, and something happens, and you mean what you say, and you do that, kids gonna be like, "Oh, hey, you know what? They gonna get with. They gonna say, oh, coach a real one," how they like to say it. I had to do that at Jackson. I had a kid that was an all-state dude that stole when we went down to University of Miami, and then I found out. I got a call 2 days later, a day later, because they saw him on tape, and I had to get rid of him.
Mm. There's a lot of
And
not to cut you off, but nowadays with the way the recruiting, the transfer rule is now in high school, there's a lot of high school coaches letting kids get away with a lot of stuff nowadays.
that I can promise you, and the kids that play for me, and the guys that coach for me, it won't happen. Because I would tell a kid, and I would tell the team, not a kid, I would tell the team, we gonna do it this way, this way, this way, and we all gonna be in it together. And if you do this, this is the consequences that you got to deal with. And I live by that, and I do that, and that's the way I am. And me personally, as a coach, and what I would address to the team, and I use myself for an example. After 9 years playing in the NFL, they had another season. They had another free agent period.
Hmm.
They had another draft. They had another training camp, and then it keeps going. This game gonna go on with you or without you. So if you don't want to, play under these standards that we have set here, go on, dude. If you don't want to be here, I don't want you here. There are kids that I lost to Booker T. There are kids that left us that went to New Orleans, Northwestern, left the J when I took over and all that, and we still made the playoffs. I had what? We had, I think, 8 kids that first year we took over that hadn't played. Only one, Carl Thompson, was the only one that was a starter. Other kids who didn't play, I think I had 8 of them that made first team all county, first and second team all county. Because when you set these standards and you go by and you coach them hard, because I tell them I don't like football, I love football. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go out there and we're gonna do it like this and we're gonna win. And if you don't win state, you don't win state. But what my whole thing is, I want to mold these young men, these young boys to become men. Because at the end of the day, this game gonna teach you so much about life. Yeah, we want to win and all that, but the most important thing, and then some of these parents don't get it.
They don't.
Some of these parents don't get it. Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on about how dudes are trying to pay light bills and rent for parents for them to leave our school, our team, to go to other schools. I had a kid where he recorded somebody driving next to him in a car telling him, leave the J, come to this school, come to that school, we'll buy this for you, we'll buy that. We had some ballers that left. But guess what? This game gonna go on with you or without you, bro. I'm not chasing no kids. That's just not how I am. Because at the end of the day, this game gonna play. We're gonna kick the ball off in August with you or without you. And I'm gonna coach with or without you. I only want the guys that want to be there with me. And trust me. And a lot of these parents they need a reality check. Because a lot of these parents, it's like skip college. My child about to sign a multi-million-dollar contract. That's what it seems like to me with a lot of these parents down here.
What I realized about parents being around high school football? They're unrealistic. Like they think,
very.
My kid's D1. Like, dude, you know how hard it is to be a D1? It's like they don't understand how good you have to be a D1 athlete. And it's just,
man.
Oh man,
it's crazy. It's crazy. I've been through it at every school that I coached at, And a lot of these parents, that was my whole point. These parents is like, forget college, he's going to be this NFL player. That's not what they're saying, but that's the way I look at it, the way I view it. Because, and some of them don't even, like, the eye test. Like, I can look out there and I can see my son playing, and I know this kid is a baller. If he was my son, if he wasn't, I say, you know what? That kid can play some ball. I can look at another kid and say, he can play, but he's not that D1 talent. He's not that guy. So a lot of these parents don't understand, like you said, how hard it is to be a D1, especially a Power 5 team. You know, I had this guy, this was one of the things that I did. My former teammate, Phil, went to Killian. He played at Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh, and we played together in New Orleans. I think his rookie year was 99. I was there for the first couple games, and I went to Cleveland in October of 99. Phil Clark he was helped doing some recruiting services. So what he did, and what I asked him to do to come out when I was coaching at Cooper City, I asked him to come out and talk to these parents, you know, and let them know, give them what recruiting is really about. And I had him do it at Jackson when I became the head coach there, because a lot of these parents have this false impression that the head coach is going to get my son a scholarship. No, what your son do in the classroom, what your son do up under the lights on Friday nights, his ideal size for the position, and what the head coach can do when they come in during the spring and like right now and right before spring during this recruiting time, and then right when after National Signing Day, they want to see that list. They're going to ask you for a list of your top guys that you think that can play at this level. And if it's one guy, that's what you got to put down. You can't put no kid out there, then the coach come out there to watch. He's going to come looking at you like, coach.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's going to look at you like you're crazy. So a lot of these parents don't get it. They just think because what little Johnny did at Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes or at Miami Garden Ravens or Liberty City Bulls, he was this and that. No, man, there's levels to this.
Well, you know what else they don't get is their son might have been a stud in 7th, 8th grade. Well, now your son's not working in the weight room, and this one kid's a late bloomer, and he's working his ass off in the weight room, and now he's past your son, and then they don't understand why. And that's another thing
they
that
don't
kills
understand
me.
why. Yeah, they don't, man. Because that's what I'm saying. It's levels to it, and that's my whole point. So you got to have that ideal side. Okay, now what is his work ethic like? But when these parents and these street agents and these Pee Wee coaches, youth football coaches, be in these kids' ear, telling them this and that, and they not giving them that real, you know, and they mess these kids up, because I've seen kids on Twitter that play O-line that go to and take a picture inside the uniform, and I'm like, there's no way this kid gonna play O-line at Miami or any Power 5 conference. He's 5'9". He's probably 270 pounds. He's not going to play.
Mm-mm.
It's just not going to happen. He could be a dog. I had a kid that played for me at Jackson. He's at FAMU right now. Carl Thompson brother. Man, RJ is a beast. If this kid was 6'1" and 6'2", he'd be another Warren Sapp. And I am not lying when I say this. But the kid was what, 5'9", if that. Great kid academically. Now, he's in college on academics. You know, he's playing at Sam, you know, and all that. But if this kid was 6'1", 6'2", he'd be a Power 5 defensive tackle, getting ready to go to the NFL soon. That's how good this kid is. But the reality of it is, he don't have the height for it. You know, and a lot of these parents, they get caught up in what he did and what he did at youth ball, and then when he comes to high school, you know, and like you said, he's not hitting the weights, you know, or that. Man, there are some things that I know what's going on over there at our school. Like, some of these parents have a false reality of what real is about.
You know, another thing about recruiting that kills me. I'm not gonna say a kid's name, but the kid meets all the measurables, but on Friday night, he's not doing nothing. And I'm like, yo, there's no way I'd recruit him. There's no way. Because if you can't do it on Friday night, How's he gonna do it on Saturday afternoon? And he's got 4 stars, and I'm thinking, how? Just because of measurables?
I'm, I'm gonna tell you that's that's the crazy thing about this. I don't get on Twitter every day. Like I got on there today, and I hadn't been on there in almost a week. It was maybe 3, 4, 5 days or whatever I had been on, whatever. But sometimes I won't even. I just look at what's being posted, and I just see the comments from some of these dudes who think they know it all and be asking these questions, well, why this and why that, and I'm like, dude, you have no real idea of how this business goes. And then, like you said, there are kids that we have played against. There are kids that I have seen on tape. There are kids that when they post stuff on Twitter, and I'm like, are you serious? But but there it is, the measurables.
Mm-hmm.
I and I'm not gonna say this kid name. There's a kid that I saw that's highly recruited, not from this state, and I talked to my son about it. And actually, I sent my son his huddle, whatever the case may be, in whatever. And this kid supposed to be all world. Now here, my son is a sophomore. He can't mess with my child. And this is not, being a helicopter dad because I'm not that. Anybody knows me enough. I just see talent and I can see it, and I'm like, man. But because this kid is, hit the measurables, they put him up there. But one thing I tell my son will tell you, and I can send you a text message and say, man, don't ever get caught up in this star stuff.
Mm-mm.
Don't ever get caught up in that and how many offers you got stuff, and all that. Just continue to grind, continue to do what you do in the classroom, and it's gonna happen. Because it's real funny that he's like you say, like that, as we know, he's a sophomore, and then you got kids that are 4 or 5 star dudes, and he got the same offers that they got, and he don't have not one star.
Don't you think
Because
that?
schools came out,
Don't you think?
schools came out and saw him play during the spring, and they saw him play during the season, and that's how he got his offers because off of his performance, and he passed the eyeball test.
I hate the star system, and these Miami fans and stuff. They go off of it, and I'm like, I'm telling you right now, if I if I could go watch a bunch of high school teams every week, I could go find some under the radar guys. I know I could. But these guys
Bro,
they go to camps, and they take their shirt off, and they look the part, and these guys give them a star. Give them a star.
they look like Tarzan, they play like
Yeah,
Jane on
and
Friday
these
night.
and these Miami fans give me a hard time. I'm like, dude, I go to all these 7-on-7 tournaments. I go to I see everything. I go to all these games. You cannot. I can show you guys that I know. I can show people that some guys that are undersized and have so much dog in them that would eat these guys up for lunch.
Man, I'm gonna tell you about that. There are people that, like you say, that I see that 4 or 5 star dudes or whatever, and I'm like, it's a joke because what Miami the fans, and like you said, and I see that too, and it happens at every university, but I know we speaking because we're local and that's our school and we love you and all that. I think a lot of people get caught in. I saw a comment the other day when it was like, yeah, man, this kid is only a 3 star. Why don't we?
Yeah.
This kid, wow, well, he was only a 3 star. We don't need him anyway. Whatever. I'm like, what? There are so many kids that I've watched when I was at FIU on tape from around the country that are dogs, and they don't have like 1 star or 2 stars. So people get caught up in that because, like you said, they meet these measurables. They go to these 7-on-7 camps or whatever, and it's all listen. I don't even want my son playing on 7-on-7 camp this year on no teams. Just go out there and grind. Do what you do on track. Get better on track for track. We got the damn good Coach Mike. He does a great job with our strength and conditioning at American Heritage. And just get ready for the season, bro. Like a lot, like I tell kids, you see kids, like you said, you've been to them, and kids get all these offers from playing on 7-on-7. That's bull crap. I tell the kids straight up, and I told kids this: if you think those offers really mean something, don't play on Friday nights and see what that means, and see what that gets you. So don't get caught up in it. And that's a lot of things. And it only takes one school to like you. And it's great. Yeah, you have the opportunity, to go to all these other schools. You have these offers on the table for you. Don't get it twisted. I think it's cool. I just think it's just the way the kid have to handle it, and hopefully that kid can still grind and don't have nobody in his ear telling him how great he is. Because what's going to happen with a lot of these kids who's supposed to be these 4 or 5 star kids, when they get to a university, all that
Dude.
pulling, pulling your, what, and making you feel like that's over with once you sign. When you get there, now you gotta compete. And if you're not mentally tough and you ain't been brought up that way, that's keeping it real with you and telling you what's real and what to look for and what to expect, and got you thinking that you all world, man, please, you ain't gonna be able to make it at a true Power 5 D1 level, because you're gonna crumble. Because all your life you've been getting this false narrative about you. You've been having all these people in your ear telling you this and you that, and it's not real. That's one thing I would never pollute my son's mind with. I've never done it, and I've never ever done it in his whole young life.
You know,
He got to work, bro.
you've seen Coach O develop. You've been around Butch Davis. What what is Manny Diaz missing? Is he missing something? Or
Man, honestly, I really can't really speak on that. To
I
give
got you.
you,
I
it's
got
just
you.
not me dodging the question,
I
because
got
I
you.
mean, I don't. I mean, I'm good. I don't.
I got
I
you.
don't. I'm a man about mine. But what I can say, I think coaches.
If you
He's
were
a
the
damn
head
good
coach,
defensive coordinator.
if you were the head coach, what would you do? You're the University of Miami head coach. What would you do?
What would I? Honestly, I didn't see many games this year, but as far as I just think,
You didn't miss much.
I think we I went to the Virginia Tech game. I think that's the only game I went to this year, and I didn't watch much on. I watched a couple games on television, but I think coaches going through that first year being a head coach stage. He's never been a head coach. He's been a damn good defensive coordinator. I just think that he just got to get through these growing pains and recruit harder. Go after. Don't go off. Don't go. He been in the college level longer than me, but that doesn't mean anything to me personally. That means I got an eye. I got an eye for talent as well. But I just think from what I know, man, I'm going to get those dogs. I don't care about this 5 star, and all that, what the ranks are. Give me those players, because most of those 5 stars, they're going to go to those SEC schools.
Exactly.
So I just think coach got he got to get through these growing pains, and they just got to recruit better. And when I say better, that doesn't mean going to get the 5 star kids. That's going to get those dudes like how did it back in the 80s and the 90s.
You know,
Go get these kids that are dogs. We might, and we go hit Texas, get what we can get from Texas. Because we always had that area where we would go get the Bubba Franks, the D. Lou, the Carl Richardson, the Jonathan Harris, the A.C. Tellison. So we always had our hand in Texas. Then we may get a kid out of Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? You may get that Kevin Patrick, that Darren Klein, that Rusty Medeiros from Jersey, those type of guys that were dogs up there that was under the radar. And then you mix them with that Florida swag and that Florida talent and that speed. And then, like Enos, the offensive coordinator, I think he's a damn good offensive coordinator. But I know he has super talent at Alabama. Now, I'm a fan of just open that thing up and just letting it go like Mike Leach or like Oklahoma State. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the Golden King or the president or whoever. And then and I see it from fans. Oh, we like the pro style offense. Well, you see the Rams. You see what the Saints are doing.
yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens are doing. You got one team that's pretty much is a old school NFL type, which is the Seattle Seahawks. Man, it's a new day, man. Why wouldn't you want to spread it out
But don't you
and get
think
the best?
don't you think with the athletes we have in South Florida that that offense is more what's the word? Is better for for the university. I mean, that would fit more than a I formation pound the ball. We don't have that in South Florida anymore. Everyone's going spread in high school.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my point. You know, so I see what we're doing at Miami. There are times when I did see him when the offensive formation, like they will be in stacks. Yeah, it'd be a 4 wide receiver set, but it just be so congested instead of it just being wide open, like you would see a Mike Leach or Oklahoma type offense. You know, a true spread. You know, and if you want to run, yeah, you got to run the ball, but that doesn't mean you got to be in 21 personnel all bunched up because I just don't get it sometimes when I see you go 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or whatever the case may be, and everything is so clogged up. I still see it in some NFL games when you can just spread it out and make it make those lanes a little bit easier for you. You know who does a great job and been doing a great job for a long time? The Denver Broncos. They don't have the biggest offensive lineman because they zone block.
Yeah, zone blocking.
Yeah. So and guess what? Every year since Terrell Davis,
yeah, 1,000-yard rusher,
they have 1,000-yard rushes, no matter who they put back there. So I think me what I would like to see at Miami, I would like to see them open it up because I think J Dub 15, I like him.
You do?
He's a puppy. I like him. He's a puppy. For what they have right there, I like him. Well, my son and I, we went out there and watched them play. We watched them play. We went to a one spring practice, and I was like, that kid looked better than the other two kids. And that was my first time seeing him. And this is what I said during the spring. Now, with that being said, he's a puppy, but they gotta call the game a way to make it to help them be successful. And I'm not saying they're not. So it goes both ways. You see what I'm saying? I think this kid got NFL talent, bro. I really do.
Yeah, but
I think I don't think 5 is better than him. I really don't think 5 is better than him. Not at
to
all.
be honest, I don't think either one of them are the guy. I don't think either one of them are the guy. I don't think we have the guy to
but
take us to AC.
but that's why I said. But that's why I said for what they have there, he is that guy.
I,
So we only can work with what we got, bro, and they got to get him better, and he got to get better. And that's my whole point. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, what can I do to get better? It sounds like a cliche, but that is real as it gets, bro.
you see,
At some point,
here's what
you gotta put the phone down and get ready.
Here's what I get mad about Enos about. Like you got number 4, right? This guy is the best playmaker we got in open field, and you're giving an end around to a receiver that's not that kind of guy. Just certain. And then here we are at the 4-yard line, and you're gonna put the tight end in motion and give him an end around. Come on, man. If you can't line up and pound it straight ahead and throw, I mean, a tight end, his play calling in the red zone is terrible, especially in the 5 inside the 5.
Wow. Hey, to speak on that number 4, because I wore that number 4,
Mm-hmm.
that kid right there, he is my favorite player on the team. He is my favorite player on the team. That kid right there, he's gonna play on Sundays. I don't know what round he's gonna go in or whatever, but that kid is NFL talent.
Oh, I already said.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that kid playing for the playing in the slot for Tom Brady? Can you imagine him playing with the Rams or playing with the Saints?
I've already went over this. I said if he leaves this year and goes pro, even if he goes undrafted, he's gonna get to pick where he's gonna want to go, and this kid. I'd say this kid might as well go pro after this. He should be. He's too talented.
Yeah, he's super talented, and he's a playmaker, man. I don't know what's going on down there with him or whatever the case may be, because if you can't, you're gonna have some. That dude want the ball. It ain't about being selfish, whatever. He's the only playmaker over there that we got that can really electrify and just make it happen. When I was at LSU this summer, I was talking with Coach Raymond, the DB coach, the corners coach, and I was talking about the game when we lost to them last year. And he said, yeah, that number 4 the real deal. This coming from Coach Raymond.
Oh, yeah, he killed him.
So we was talking. I was like, yeah. He told me. He was like, man, that kid is the real deal.
You know, that Coach Raymond over there at LSU, he's put a lot of guys in the league. Holy cow.
Yeah. And you know what's great about him? His attitude off the field. Like just being able to sit down and talk with him and go in his office when my son and I was up there and just have this conversation about ball and just about life. You know, because I met Coach Raymond when I was at Jackson. He came there and he was like, "Hey man, who's this linebacker you guys? Cedric Brunson." You know, he ended up going to Florida. He came over to ask me about him, and then he said, "Man, I heard your son is a baller. What's up with your son?" He thought my son was at Jackson or whatever. I was like, "Man, my son's 12 years old. What are you talking about?" And he was like, "What?" Because another coach had told somebody down here had told him that my son is a good football player. And then I showed him a clip of my son with a pick six, and when he was 12 years old in youth ball, and he was like, "Damn!" He was like, "You don't see kids that age breaking on balls like that."
No.
And he was like, "Man, I'm still coaching, man. When he get there, he's man, I'm gonna offer him. I can't offer him now." He said, "But boy, I'm gonna offer him." So I go down to the National Coaches Convention in Charlotte, and he had a couple of years ago. He had asked me about my son. I was like, "Yeah, man, he's going to Heritage." He's like, "Oh man, they got ballers over there, whatever." But Coach Raven is a good dude, man. He's putting out but one thing I like about it when I go to their games and I'm watching him, he coach hard. He coach hard. Yeah, he gonna recruit you and all that. He gonna be cool, but he couldn't. But that's why his boys are going. And then you just got Grant just won the Thorpe Award last night. That's DBU, bro.
I was watching some of their YouTube tapes of their DBs at practice, man, and they're so physical. They're so physical.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, man, this is because I mean I see a lot of DBs and they're not physical, and it's like, man,
Hey,
you
bro,
gotta be physical.
you know it disgusts me when I see DBs not want to tackle. Like Peters that play for the Ravens.
Yeah.
That kid don't want to tackle nobody. Now he make big plays. He gonna get burned or whatever.
The kid
now
for
he's
the
doing
Gators.
better, and I'm happy for him.
The kid for the Gators is from South Florida. What's his name? He don't want to tackle.
Which one?
Number 5.
There's a couple.
Number 5.
Oh, he went to Columbus, right?
Yes, the big time one. He when they played Miami, he did not want to come hit nobody. He puckered up. And I'm like, man, I don't want that.
No, but now I'm gonna go to my boy. That little sucker physical, and he always been physical. And I've told him throughout his young life, you got to tackle playing in the defensive backfield. You can't be afraid to tackle. You can't be out there playing with 9 dudes and the 2 corners don't want to tackle. That's bullcrap. You know, I can't accept that as a DB coach, as a defensive coordinator. You know, I can't accept that. You got to tackle. You got to tackle for me, bro. But a lot of these dudes don't want to do it, you know, and they trying to save themselves for whatever, and I just can't respect that.
What kind of coverage do you like running? What's your favorite coverages?
I do a lot with them, man. That's one thing. I never wanted. I couldn't. Of course, I can't give them everything that I know at this age, but because I always want a kid when they leave from high school, when they go sit in the college meeting room, they understand X's and O's. The terminology may be different, but say, okay, no, it's not foreign to them. Oh, I've seen that, because that's a knock on some of these kids from down here at certain schools. You know, so me personally, I mix it up, man. I zone it. I play man. I put them in zero. You know, so I mix it up with them. I give them combo coverages. You know, so I do some of the things I learned throughout my life, you know, playing ball, and I mix it up with him. You know, so I mean, but a perfect zone man concept coverage could be a cover 4. You know, because you can also have the safeties in the run game without being accounted for, but they also helping in the pass game. So they just gonna feel where needed when it's a run. So that's cool. But you can mix it up with the spread. You just can't sit back and play zone all day in the spread. It's just a spread that eats you up. You know, so but you can also make it look like man and keep it and have them have the corners and have everybody press, but still play a zone.
Was it
concept with it as well?
Was it hard for you to adjust? I mean, because you're in the NFL, is it hard for you to adjust, like coaching kids that aren't, are just normal high school players, and be like, man, you should make that play, knowing that you could make that play?
No, it was never hard for me because my mindset was always like I just said. I can't give them what I've learned. I can just show them. But here's the difference between the way I do things
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of other people do things. Because the schools I've been at and coached at, the kids have been successful on the back end. You know, so what I do, I try to put them in position to make those plays because I know what they're doing. My mind is, and the way I'm seeing the game is real slow to me at this level. It's real, real slow. So I can see a lot of this stuff. I don't expect them to be able to make the plays like how, because I wasn't like that when I was their age.
Mm.
You know, but I can see things coming, and if I'm showing it to you on tape, because what I do, and the kids that play for me, once again, they'll tell you, I draw stuff up with them and I make copies and I give it to them. So now they can see it. I know some schools that don't even watch tape with their kids. They just go play on Fridays. The coaches will watch tape, but the kids won't watch no tape.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I've had kids tell me this when I was coaching at FIU. They came from schools right down there in 305, you know, and I'm just like, what? And then there are some kids that just don't you can draw it up for them, you know, on a board or whatever. But me personally, and kids will tell you that plays me, I make them little packages, and I get so now I'm watching tape, and we gonna watch film. We definitely gonna watch tape. But now, and I'm speaking to me as a DC, I give them a package of what they're gonna see and what we're gonna play and how we're gonna play it. So now they watch tape, they see it in at home, and then they going on the field doing the walkthroughs and we practice. And that gives those kids a better chance of just throwing it up there and say, okay, now let's go out there and play it and go through it. And now you're not going to win all the games, whatever the case may be, but that's how I make it so much easier for the kids. And the great thing about it, when you're a coach, when you get text messages or DMs from kids that play for you and they don't went to college, they were like, thank you, coach, for so much because what you showed me, it prepared me for, you know, this stage for college. It was exactly what you said. So
Did you
I
play?
try to make it easy for them.
Did you play with Gerard Warren?
Who?
Gerard Warren.
Gerard Warren?
Yeah.
Big Money?
Yeah, but yeah, G Money.
That that
You
yeah,
know.
that played at Florida?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. I played with Big Money in Cleveland.
yeah, a couple years ago, I had dinner. I had dinner with him. Somehow, me and him linked up. I don't know how, but he was telling me. He was telling me that when he watched film, he watched it like 4 times. First time, he watched the whole game. Second time,
Right.
he said he watched the position. I mean, he was just breaking it down how every time he watched 4 times and he watched it a different way. And he said that by the end of the time, he would know every single motion they would do. Like if he would watch the offensive line's hand, he said he would know everything. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I like to use the Steelers for example when I talk about stuff like that. But that's what I would do. I would watch tape. It was probably more than 4 times. And I'm not trying to make myself seem like, oh, I did it. I was more into it. I was more into it than G Money. But what I did, I would watch tape. And back then when I was playing, they would give us DVDs that we could take home. And so I'll watch it all day at the facility. Then I go home and I watch it. So I was watching it maybe 20 times throughout the whole week before we even played the game. And I'm talking about at home. So like you said, you pick up little nuances and little things like that. So we would play the Steelers when they were lined up into a tight bunch. And Hines Ward was at the point, and Hines Ward had his right leg up. He was coming down to block the end or that outside backer or that down safety as we was in cover 3. If he had the left foot up, he's going out for a route. So it's little things like that, like when G Money said you could pick up how his hand placement is down, the offensive lineman, you could pick up little things like that. So by watching tape going to get you. Like when we played Florida State up there in Tallahassee my junior year, I think the first play of the game, I smacked Ward Dunn, and then on the third play of the game, I got him again. But that first play, just by studying tape and knowing the movement and how the receiver released the ball and where he was lined up, I knew they was going to swing him out and throw it to him, and that's why I was able to make that play and bang him immediately when he caught the ball. It's because it came from film study. And I had a lot of interceptions in the league, and a lot of it came from film study. I mean, Todd Bowles and Chuck Pagano, man, I learned. I didn't. I like to say I didn't really learn how to play football until 2001, which was Butch and Chuck Pagano and Todd Bowles' first year in Cleveland. I picked so much up and learned the game so much better just being taught by Chuck and Todd Bowles.
Were you surprised when they were eventually head coaches? Were you like, wow, these guys are head coaches, NFL?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. I seen the work ethic. I seen the intensity from Chuck Pagano when he coached me at Miami. So I definitely wasn't surprised when he became the head coach. And Bowles, man, Bowles is one of the smartest dudes that I've ever been around. He's probably, matter of fact, Todd Bowles is the smartest dude that I ever been coached by. I'm talking about scheme-wise, like when we would go to practice, like on Wednesdays in the NFL, that's the first day of practice because you're off on Tuesdays. The first day of practice is that Wednesday. And you have to, it's pretty much a first, second down stuff. They're going to give you all the input and personnel stuff and all that. Wednesday is like that, more run-oriented, first, second down. Now, Thursday is more so of the passing downs, and that's when Bowles would take over with the secondary. Man, Chad Johnson sent us Pepto-Bismol one week. CBS followed us for like a week. And he FedExed us Pepto-Bismol and said we all going to need this or whatever. Man, Chad had one catch for like 23 yards in that game and with an L. But we bracketed him in the way we set up and played it and the way Todd Bowles told us and put that stuff together. Man, it was beautiful. I got an interception against the Rams on Monday Night Football. The Rams, they were so fast. What do they call it, the fastest show on turf?
Yeah.
Man, they would run. I don't think I've ever seen it since. And I'm pretty sure somebody's probably doing it now. But back in 03, yeah, it was 03. I think we played on Monday Night Football, 03, 04. I think it was 03. Yeah, it was 03. They was running 18-yard digs. And I'm not making this up. A dig, they was running it at 18 yards. That's how fast they were. And just by watching tape and just that alignment, and what I like to teach my kids, when you're playing cover two, don't just haul ass and get out there and be playing deep halves and you in space and you can't make no play. If there's nothing threatening that deep half and you in your eye, you inside over the top of number one and you can see one, and if he runs a dig, you drive on it because there's nothing else he can do. The quarterback got to get rid of the ball because the pressure is getting there pretty much. It's all about timing. And you just jump that dig. But they was running at 18 yards. So when Torrey Hope broke, man, I jumped it. I picked it off, and it was a beautiful interception. I caught it with one hand. It looked like I caught it with two, but I really cuffed it with my right hand between my elbow and my forearm. And on Monday Night Ball. But it's because what Todd Bowles had put in place and just by watching tape. So watching tape is a big thing. I used to watch tape when I was coaching my son's team at 8 years old. Mm-hmm. On Mondays when we come to practice, I get my iPad, I hold the film up, I had a kid sitting on the bench, and I'm showing him. I'm showing him how to watch tape. My son, he watched tape on his own Saturday mornings, Sundays. He got his iPad looking at tape. The kid is he's a football nerd. Well, that's why he make a lot of plays, man. And he used to sit there and watch tape with me when I be breaking down tape, getting ready for my high school games. Way back in 08, he a little boy, six years old. He just sit there. I never forced him to do that. The kid, I always wanted him to develop the love and the passion for the game on his own. Because I told him, you're going to have to grind, bro. Just because of your last name, people going to – and I remember him playing youth ball. He'd be the captain for whatever game we play. And Shorty used to – I used to tell my assistant coaches, Kigata Lewis and Jamilio, those guys, man, these shorties would come up and they'll see him because he's a little pretty boy, curly hair. You would think he's that kid that's a dog on tape that's out there playing like that. You know how the stereotype go in football. Yeah, he a little light skinned, that type. But I would look at the shorties' faces like who he playing. I could just see their face, how they would be looking at him like, this the dude? But the kid loves the game, man. The passion is there, man.
Well,
And somebody said to me the other day was, man, I know it must be a good feeling seeing your kid, and it is, man, because this is what he loves to do. This is what he wants to do, and then be able to go out there and watch him. Blue, I don't even coach my son. I coach the safety. Blue is his coach. I love what Blue is doing with him. Blue is doing a good job because I never want, I don't even talk ball. When we leave practice, I don't even talk ball with my son in the car. Because, now, I would give him tips. I would say, hey, man, you watch tape. I already know yeah, I watch. I see him. I see him watch tape on his iPad in the house, whatever. And then I would give him tips. Hey, man, I saw this, man, boom, 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 this is what you got, whatever, whatever. But I don't even really talk ball with him, man, because I don't want him feeling like he getting that pressure from his daddy.
I
I'm
got
your
you.
dad, bro. You my best friend, so I never want him to feel like that. So I'm not like that.
Talking about break on the ball, do you think that's a gift or is that something that's taught? Because I watched a lot of football the last few years, and there's only a handful of kids that I've seen with the break on the ball.
You know what it's called? It's called some kids have got that instinct and that knack of the ball, and it goes with, and you got to give credit to those kids. It goes for some of those kids who are watching tape, and some kids that you might say, and it's very, very small percentage that just got it, but you just got some kids that are just ball hawks. And like, I could just talk about the way I coach my kids. When I would have these kids and doing individual drills, I don't get into all these crazy cone drills, all this stuff that I see on YouTube and Instagram. These dudes doing all these crazy ass drills with these kids. Man, I'm like the San Antonio Spurs. We're gonna do the fundamental stuff as a DB. We're gonna do our regular back pedals, slow to fast back pedal. We're gonna do our 45-degree angle break. We're gonna do our 90 degree. We're gonna do our post corner post. All these drills I do with them, but it's what you're gonna do in game. So all the extra crazy stuff, I don't do that. And if I'm gonna use cones, we're gonna use just the regular four cones. We're gonna pedal. We're gonna karaoke over and all that stuff and little simple stuff like that. I'm not trying to get cute and fancy. So with that being said, when I have my kids doing, if we're gonna backpedal and we're gonna break on a 45-degree angle, I tell them to explode out of your break because it's going to transition into the game. If you're just coming out your break high, not staying, mid-level, what you want to say low, in your break, you're not going to be able to explode. When you look at a basketball player, just think about LeBron James or whoever when they guard somebody, you see those guys, they grab their shorts, they pull them up, and they bend them at the knees and the hips. So now I can go lateral, I can play. When you coming out your breaks, man, you got to explode out your breaks. And a lot of people don't do that. And that's just football 101, man. A lot of people try to get away from it and try to do all this extra fancy stuff. Man, you ain't going to be doing all that crap.
All right.
Like the wide receivers, all that dancing and shit excuse me,
Yeah,
all
you're
that
good.
dancing
You say what
crap
you
that
want.
I see these dudes coming off the ball and skipping and hopping. Man, it's all about time. If you didn't watch tape with Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison before games, they ain't doing all that skipping and
No.
hopping.
Especially
He got to get there because it's all about timing.
especially 7-on-7, man. I'm like, man, the DB has no chance. This guy's chopping his feet. Receiver chopping his
Man,
feet, doing all this. I'm
the
like,
seven on
man.
7 on 7 is good for guys that for the cover guys, whatever. But I just think it has gotten so big, and I think it's a money grabber too, for one.
It's
And it has gotten so big, but it takes away from the continuity from kids and their actual team. So that's why I was like, this year, like I've had people hit me up from different inbox me on Twitter,
oh, you probably
about my
got
son
you
playing
probably got
playing
all
for
of them.
this team and that team, whatever. I ain't tell him he can't play. I just want him to focus on track. He's always been a track dude, and like I said, you run track just to get better, to help you better for your sport that you really love, which is football, and get ready for that. Now, this summer is going to be a big summer for him, because he wants to go compete against some of these dudes that's supposed to be these beasts on the other side of the ball, and these dudes that's supposed to be ranked number one, number two DB in his class, whatever. And he looking at them and he like, yeah, that dude can't mess with me. I'm playing against better competition, and I'm better than him. And that's not him being arrogant. I just like that swag in him because that's the way you're supposed to think as a DB.
How about, I mean, you said you're old school, so what kind of tackling do you do? Old school tackling, head up, wrap up, or are you doing behind gator roll bullshit?
Man, I watched that tape with I had watched that tape for the first time with the Seattle Seahawks
Yeah.
and their little tackling drill, and all that. I'm old school, bro. I'm like, listen, like you gonna face them up. We gonna and the kids that I coach at Harris, they'll tell you. I coach the safeties. And we gonna do our little tackling drills. And I just want to see get your head across the ball and fit him up and grab claw. Be like Toucan Sam. I mean, not Toucan, just Sam, the cowboy from Bugs Bunny, whatever his name.
Yeah.
Get your guns out the hips and fit him up. Grab claw. And we didn't miss that many tackles on the back end at Heritage.
You know,
And that goes for these kids, putting that work in, because that's what I'm telling you, man. Some people get so, and I'm not saying Pete Carroll and those guys are wrong because, just like the spread offense, it's a lot of 10 personnel. It's not 21 personnel from back in the day. But don't ever get rid of the fundamentals of the game. And that's what I go old school with it, bro.
I've had arguments with coaches about this. I'm like, well, why don't you just teach both? Because if you're teaching that gator roll one, I think there's a way a kid can spin out. I'm like, if a kid spins the opposite way, I just don't. I don't like. And Miami's doing. I took my sons to the Miami camp, and they got that round thing. They roll it, and then they gotta go grab it.
Yeah, they gotta go run it.
I'm like, my son's wrestling. We don't do this shit. We're double legging and single legging. We're not doing this.
Man,
Shoot.
like I do old school, man. Just like I have the kids. I be the quarterback, and I just spin around, give them like a toss sweep, and they got between the sidelines and the numbers to make this. And I tell them, running for the running back, you don't want to get nobody hurt or whatever. You want to go 85%, and you just give them one move. Either you're gonna take it up the sideline or you're gonna cut it back. And I'm telling my defender, he got the sideline tackle, you be on this inside leg. And if you want to keep it straight, use the sideline as your guy, as your other teammate, and make the tackle. Push him out, make the tackle. But you want to fit him up. Once you want to close that cushion and break down an open field, so you want to break down to a point where and keep the feet moving, where I can explode, continue to go, or I can break down and make this open field tackle. Because it's hard as hell to make an open field tackle. I don't care how good you are. It's hard as hell to make it. But all that extra stuff and all that, man, we've been doing that since I was at UM. And I was in high school. And guess what? It ain't going to change, bro. It's football.
No. I hate it. I freaking hate it. I watch guys teaching. I'm like, man, this is bullshit right here. I would never teach a kid this shit. The injuries, I'm like, okay, I'd rather get a concussion than blow my shoulder out. Shoot.
Yeah, and with ball, and the way I do it, you don't want to just teach them the same thing every day, because you don't even have that much time, even in college. So you kind of got to mix it up with them or whatever, and that's what I do with my kids. We're gonna do the fundamentals with the footwork. We'll do that pretty much every day. But one day I may do the tackling this day, the next day I may do some deep ball stuff with the safeties or whatever. Or you got to mix it up, because it gets boring to them. But when you mixing it up, throughout that week, you pretty much working on everything. So that's what I do with them. I'm not saying I'm the guru of coaching or football or whatever. I just know what works because it's like the San Antonio Spurs. They're always good for a reason. They fundamentally sound.
I don't know, man. Bluestein said you're the top dog coaching. That's what he told me.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. Because you know what it is, man. I want the kids to succeed, man. Because I just love the game so much, and I just love coaching. And I just want the kids. I just want the kids to succeed, man. And like I said, man, I don't think I know everything. I still go to a convention and I'll sit inside. Some of these. Put it this way, I sit inside. What's the coach name from Michigan State? I sat inside his session one time in Orlando at the night coaching convention a couple of years ago, and he's running stuff. And he's supposed to be like this guru of his zone blitzing and scheme type defense. And I'm saying to myself, man, that's what I run. But I don't walk out of it. I still sit there because it's something that I can probably take from him that I don't know, and I can just add it to what I'm doing. So I don't, I didn't invent the wheel, but I'm always willing to learn. I wish I could sit down. My dream is to sit down with Coach Belichick one day, man, and just try to pick his brain, and little stuff like that. That's what I like, man. I love it, and I appreciate Mr. Bluestein, Larry, Don't Mind Me Pioneer alum. I appreciate it because he seen me up close, man, and that's what I love to do, bro. I mean, I do it a different way than a lot of other people, but the way is the way I did it in college and the way I did it in the pros. I just take it to the kids. I don't have that much time. You can't. I just draw some things up, and I want them to be able to visualize it because everybody learns different.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be able to take it home, visualize it, and then walk through it, work through it on throughout the week, and then we go from there, man. And then the cards gonna play out how they play out.
When your son goes to college in a couple of years, do you keep coaching or do you stop and go watch his college career?
Man, that's going. You know who's showing me who's doing it? Who's doing it real good? My boy Pat Sertan. Pat doing it real good. He's a head coach.
Yeah.
And he get on a plane on Saturday morning, and he go watch his son play. And he give me the blueprint. So when that time comes for E, and if I gotta go to Coral Gables, that would be so much easier. Or if I got to go to Norman, Oklahoma, I go to Tuscaloosa, or I got to go to Baton Rouge, that's what I'm going to have to do. Because the whole point is to be able to go and just be able to relax, man, and just watch this kid play. Enjoy that moment with him, because you can't get these years back.
No. Do you want to be?
You can't get them back. So.
Do you want to be a head coach again?
Do I want to be a head coach again?
Yeah.
It's something that it would have to be the right situation. You know what I mean? I'm a team player, and I just like coaching. And if the right opportunity came up for me, I would look into it. I'm not gonna say no, I wouldn't do it. But I'm not pressed on being a head coach or anything like that. The fun thing for me is I love what I was doing at FIU, but I only saw my son play 6 times in 2 years. And then when I was offered to come on board at Heritage, I took it. I didn't take it because it was being given to me, offered to me, but I didn't come on until like 2 weeks before the season started. So, but I can be out there. I do something that I love to do, and I get to see my son, up close, And I watched him last year, some games that I sat in the stands, you can watch. But being out there, I was like, man, because I asked him. I said, hey, man, because I coached him some years, when he was playing youth ball. I said, hey, man, how you feel about me if I come on, at Harris? He was like, Pops, you coach me at youth ball. He said, I would love that, because that's the relationship him and I have. We like, I'm his pops, but we like best friends. He is my best friend, but there's no like talking to me any kind of way or no crap like that. But he's a very well mannered child. But if a situation came up, I would look into it. It would have to be the right one, but being able to be there to watch a child play, man, and watch him succeed and do what he loves to do, yeah, it's a good feeling, man.
What was the difference going to college at FIU? What was the difference coaching there from high school?
The difference is just the time, because you have to coach. I was also helping the kids out, taking them to do charity work, visiting hospitals and doing things like that. But the coaching is great. It's just a lot of time in the film room, which I know, I play ball, so I know what these guys. Like I said, I always ask a question, I have to ask Chuck, those guys, so watching those guys, watching a lot of tape. And then the only thing that I don't understand about at that level is you can be there to 10 o'clock at night. I don't think it's that much football in the world to show or to say that I'm really doing my job just to be there watching tape and just being there all night long. I just don't get it. because I remember reading the book, Tony Dungy's first book. And, he played for the came out of Michigan State. He was a quarterback, played for the Steelers, ended up becoming, I think he was the DC at 28 years old for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he was like, is it Chuck Noll? I think Chuck Noll was the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I always get him and Knox mixed up, but the guy for the Rams. But anyway, he said Coach made sure that they were home by, I think he said 8:30 to eat dinner with their families. So basically, we're not going to be here all night just doing ball. Now, we're going to come in, we're going to put in our work. And I have friends that play with me in Cleveland and throughout the league, and they coaching at other schools. They coaching at universities, coaching at big-time schools. And they were like, man, they just a grind. But then I also got friends that I met throughout coaching that, oh, man, shoot, man, coach, like, once y'all done, y'all hit it. So guys will be like, of course, Sunday is going to be a long day because you got to watch the game tape, from Saturday. You got to come in. You got to start game planning and all that. Yeah, I can see that. And Monday, yeah, but it's just time because once you're done with that, and it's always recruiting, bro. It's always recruiting. I'm talking about always. So when the season is over, like right now, there's no game. So now you got to hit the road. You got to go to these schools. You got to do that. And then once National Signing Day is over with, you get probably a couple weeks off, and then you're back into recruiting. But you never stop recruiting. You're still doing that. Then you got spring ball coming up in March, early March.
How about NFL?
And then you got National Signing. NFL.
Who works more, college coach or NFL coach?
College. Because you got to do coaching.
Recruiting.
You got to make sure these guys are on point, away from coaching the facility, and then you got to recruit. In the NFL, they pay scouts all over the country. You got regional scouts, you know what I mean? You got your local scouts all over the country, guys to go out and do that work for you, that recruiting stuff, to go out and see these players. Then you're just pretty much watching, when the season is over with, from what I told from friends of mine that played with me that was coaching in the league. Matter of fact, one of my close friends that played with me in New Orleans my first couple of years, we came in together, Chris Hewitt, he's a DB coach for the Ravens. I've seen his butt a couple of times last night on TV. That's my dog. Talking with him, I know got other guys and guys that coached in Cleveland and other places that I know that I keep in contact with. Terry Rubisky, I always used to talk with him and pick his brain, about coaching as well. At the NFL level, you're home. Like they get home at a reasonable time. But then again, you may have a coach like John Gruden. And I don't know how he goes, but it was at one point I think he said he had an air mattress in his office.
That's crazy.
So that's crazy to me.
How much film can you watch?
Huh?
How much film can you watch? The same thing.
That's what I'm saying. Because I know when we was at FIU, when I was at FIU, it wasn't too bad, but it's just a lot of hours, and sometimes it's kind of funny because it's like you're done with your work, and then it's like, okay, can I go home now, or whatever the case may be, whatever, and then it's like, because sometimes a head coach may still be in the office, and coach may throw a staff meeting, and it could be at 8 o'clock at night. You want to have a quick staff meeting or whatever the case may be. And if you left, it's like, oh, shucks. He do a staff meeting, whatever. And that's how it is, but I think once things are set, like I talk to other people, if things are set, it's like once the DC is like, hey, man, or the head coach, well, hey, now you guys are done with your work, go home. There's no more staff meetings or whatever. Guys go home. Guys are done at 1 o'clock, like on Thursday, so you get more time. You got to put work in, but I don't think it's that much film in the world to be sitting there at 10 o'clock at night or just being there at the building that late. I just don't. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. And reading Tony Dungy's book, he's been successful. He's won Super Bowls with the Steelers. He's won Super Bowls with the. He won a Super Bowl with the Bucks. Well, that wasn't his team. His team pretty much. When Gruden took over, that was his squad, but he won with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he's been successful. So there are ways of doing it. Then there are ways of like Saban. Saban. I heard the boys grind. You know what I mean? I heard dude said that this is what I heard. I don't know how true it is. He gonna pay you enough money to keep wifey happy, but you gonna work your tail off. You get what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I've heard. I didn't hear that from a coach that's on his staff. I heard that from somebody that interviewed for a job with him.
You
I mean,
know,
at Bama before.
you know,
So
the other day I saw Urban Meyer put a thing out. I saw people on Twitter arguing it. I agree with it. He said something in the effect of Florida has a lot of talent, but when it gets to college, it's untapped. Like they haven't been coached up right. Do you agree with that? Because
now
I do.
I'm gonna go back to I don't know how long we've been on the phone, but
We've
and
been
I'm
on
not
for a
even tripping
minute.
about that. 'Cause I could talk all day.
I can talk all
But
that too, but I agree with him.
but I'm a, oh, I agree with that, and that's what I said earlier in the conversation. There are kids from certain schools down in the 305
He don't watch no film.
that when they get to college, it's different.
But
And
don't
I'm not saying everybody gonna turn out and be this baller or whatever, but I truly believe that, and that's on everything I love. That's on my mama and my daddy. They
but
both alive, but I'm just putting. That's how deep I'm going with it. That I truly believe that overall got super talent, but we are not coached. And you know what really drilled that into me? When my friend, God bless his soul, invited me to come work at the Senior Bowl and do some and speak to the DBs at the combine back in '09. And I went there and they was doing the high school camp at the Senior Bowl. And we were doing some drills with these kids, and these kids was playing cover four. They was playing combo coverages, and I was like, dang, you know. And I was coaching at, you know, I was coaching, and then I was seeing stuff that I was doing. Like I do stuff like that with my defense, but I would also watch tape and watch other teams. And I just see straight man to man. That's it, and that's all we're playing. And I'm seeing this. I'm like, man, these kids really know how to play these coverages. This is what I do with my kids. But the overall down back home, you either gonna be cover two, man to man, cover one, or just straight zero, or you may see some three. Now I saw these kids actually playing cover four, playing the technique. As far as the safeties in cover four, the quarters coverage, and that blew me away. That was back in '09. That blew me away. So I do agree with
you know,
Coach Coach Meyer.
but you know what? In Florida, they don't pay these coaches nothing. My buddy was working down in South Florida. He was getting like 38. He goes to Texas as a position coach, and he's getting 65.
That's the problem. That's another thing that hurts down here as well. But you have a responsibility as a coach. If they're paying you 3,800 or
Mm-hmm.
if they're paying you 65K, you have a responsibility as a coach to these young men that's coming to these schools and playing football for you to understand the game and teach yourself to be able to teach them the right way. So when you go to these coaches conventions in Nashville, Tennessee, San Antonio, or just back in Anaheim like they had 10 years ago or whatever, wherever it is, don't just go there to just hang out, whatever. If you really want to learn and get, do it, because there's a saying, and the guys that coached me back at Jackson, and they'll tell you, I always say this: if you can teach a dolphin how to do flips at the Seaquarium, we can teach these kids how to play cover four, cover two on the weak side, cover five, three, whatever you want to do. You can teach them bracket coveraging and all that. You can teach it. There is time to do it, but you got to be able to figure it out and do it. And it's not hard, because guess what? I've been doing it since '08.
Mm.
So I just think that a lot of guys are just, and I don't want to paint a bad picture. It's just a reality of it. Forget it. It's just a reality of it. When I watch tape, I see a lot of just straight zero and cover one when I see other teams play.
So then, if you're, don't you think, if you're just running zero, you're gonna see a bunch of rub routes, crossing
You get a bunch
routes.
of rub routes. You're gonna get you're gonna get there's a high percentage that that kid is gonna get beat, or whatever. And listen, I coach some talented kids, but you want to know the team that I had the most fun coaching
Huh.
was at Cooper City. I'm talking about when me as the DC was at Cooper City. That's the year we beat St. Thomas, and it was ranked like 3 or 5 in the nation. And then they came back and beat us in the playoffs, and we had them on the ropes. That was the first time we beat them in the history of this in 40 years at the time, 40, 41 years. But the whole point was you draw this stuff up for these kids. These kids was willing to learn and understand and sit down during lunch. Come to the locker room, go to the lunchroom, get their food. We had 2 lunches. Come back to the locker room and watch tape on their own. And I think we was 12-2 that year, if I'm not mistaken, or 11-2. But for those kids, and I ain't had no quote unquote, no 4-star, 5-star kids. I had kids that was 5'8" at corner. But when you can teach the game and these kids can believe in themselves, they've been tired of getting their butts whipped. And then you come out there and you present it to them the way I did it. So it works. I've seen it. And that was the least talented team I had.
You know, what's funny you say this because my uncle used to coach youth football, and he had one really, really talented team, and he said that was the worst headache team he ever had. He said the team that was
Yeah.
the one that missed the playoffs, he said, dude, that was the funnest team I had because they worked hard, they didn't care, there was no crying about who got the ball, there was none of that.
Yep. 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 Now, and that's me as now the heritage team that we had this year. Now we good, and I'm talking about me as a DC and assistant head coach and being a head coach. My team against that Cooper City team in 2011. That team was the most fun that I had as a DC. And I had some dogs at Central. I had some dogs at Crop. And I think one of my most talented teams was at Cypress Bay when I was the DC there. But for whatever reason, man, we just couldn't get it, bro. We just couldn't get it. But that Cooper City team, man, I had some dogs, boy. Those kids were some dogs, bro. They were some dogs.
So did you play
because
against?
they wanted.
Did you play against Flanagan when your boy Bush was over there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they had
They
a squad that
beat
year.
us last game of the season. We was 9-0, and then we won. I think we won 2 playoff games after that. We lost them the last game of the season, and then we won 2 games. Then we lost to St. Thomas, but we had beat St. Thomas that year too.
What do you?
And when I say we beat St. Thomas, it wasn't no fluke like we won on a Hail Marys. No, we beat them. Like punched them in the mouth and beat them.
What do you think about this playoff system? What do you think about this point thing? I don't like it.
I really don't understand it, to be honest with you, so I really can't speak too much on it. But I know it's kind of crazy because if this team won, this team's schedule was tougher than that team, so they get points or whatever the case may be. Because I know in our situation this year, it's like us and Northwestern was going back and forth, and also Rockledge or whatever. I think Rockledge ended up finishing like number one. We before losing to Northwestern, we lost to the 9th team in the nation in Washington D.C. with the number 1 dual threat quarterback in the nation of 2021.
And they beat the shit out of IMG too.
Yeah, and they had kids from all over the nation on that squad. Their O line was like Penn State O line.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Now we was giving them that work, and then we had a turnover, then we gave up a touchdown. So immediately it got out of hand, like by 14 points. That's what we lost by like that. I think it was like by 14. But we had them. Like we were moving the ball on them and doing our thing, but we lost to them. And so, and I'm like, hold up, like how are we going neck and neck with these other schools? So, or just go back to the old system. The first top 2 teams out of the district go to the playoffs.
Yeah, but
so if a team is like 2-8, they can still make the playoffs.
Here's the problem I saw with it. Maybe not for the top teams, but for the teams trying to get in the playoffs. I saw a thing where one team played 10 games, the other team played 9 because of the hurricane, and the team with 9 got in. But I was like, yo, that's like taking a test and rewarding the guy that got the curve scale because uh, it doesn't make sense to me. He went 5-4. He went 5-5. But how do you know he wouldn't? How do you know what he would have done his 10th game? I don't
Yeah,
agree with that.
that so that happened.
That happened. It happened.
Ah,
I was like,
yeah,
wow.
that's not cool. No, that's not cool. And that's the thing. And that's where it goes back to these kids. It's like you're you're penalizing these kids for something that they shouldn't be penalized for.
Yes.
And that's what I mean by as far as the whole coaching thing. Yeah, we got the talent, but the coaching is not whatever, whatever. And that's why you owe it to these kids. If you're gonna do this, you owe it to these kids to do it the right way. And the right way isn't my way. The right way is you're gonna go in, you got to go all in and teach these guys. Because when these guys go to college, because Urban Meyer, I didn't even know he said that, but he's telling you from experience.
Yeah, he is.
You know, because he get kids from all over the nation to come play for him, and when these kids come sit in his meeting room, he know that these kids understand football.
You know, I watched the
You know,
I
and
watched a documentary on Butch Davis was talking in it, and he said that you know schools like St. Thomas, you know, and these big time schools that have all the you know gym and all the workouts and all that. He said some of those kids can be tapped out. That's why he likes going to some of these small like the Pahokis and try to find these kids that aren't really working out that like that and aren't eating. You know, the only time they're eating is school breakfast and school lunch. Some of these kids. And he said once you can
yeah,
put
man,
4 or 5 meals in these kids and really get them in the weight room, they're gonna be better than that kid at that big time school that might be hit his peak point.
I'm gonna tell you what he told me because, like you say, I always ask questions. You know, and Butch is a genius,
Oh, I would love to pick
and
his mind. I would love to pick his mind.
so I one time I was sitting there with him, and I was in his office, sitting in the staff meeting office, and we were talking ball, and he said, Earl, when I got the job down here for FIU, he said I had when we was in Texas. I guess he had went to Texas with his son Drew and Brent, and he was like, "You see these kids out here? These kids, they got all the facilities. They got the 10,000 seat stadium. They got the weight room and all that stuff. So by the time they get to college, they already hit their peak."
Yeah.
He said, "When I got the job down here, I took my son and I took Brent Renner, and I took them around Miami, and we went by the parks, and we passed by the park. You see those kids? There are kids out here that's working out, like playing 7-on-7 or just doing running some routes or just working on their game. Just put it that way." He said, "You won't see that in Texas." So we're on the same page with what he said in that documentary
Yeah.
and what he said to me personally. And that's the difference down here. Like when Earl was playing for that PPO team, and then they all left there to go play in the Unlimited League, and they was playing for the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes. You know, the people from California was like, "Oh man, y'all ain't played nobody. How y'all the national champs? You know, this and that." So they go to Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes. So they play in Florida League. So now the people out in California, they going back and forth with people down here on Facebook, and all that. And I remember telling the people down, they would say, "Oh, y'all too little for us," whatever the case may be. Because they got them Samoan dudes, Polynesian kids on their team. They have some big boys. "Oh, we this and we that, whatever, whatever." Like, I'm like, bro, the mentality down here is nothing like you guys have seen when it comes to football. And we played Snoop team.
Yeah, I watched
The
that on
first year we beat them,
Oh, it'd been
but the
bad.
first year we beat them, we was a 145-pound team.
Really?
And then see, they was unlimited, and we still beat them 34-27. I think that was the first year that they said O linemen can be unlimited, but everybody else had to be at a certain weight. And then we beat them. So the next year we're Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, so now we're completely unlimited. So now we got kids, couple kids that came over on the squad, whatever. So now we play Snoop team,
That's
and
what
we beat them 63 zip.
I watched. I watched that one on what's that guy that does the videos? I watched it there. The highlights.
Then we go to Texas and play the YE Yellow Jackets, first game of the season that year. This is a team that hadn't lost in 4 years. Matter of fact, my son, we was watching a game one night on Thursday night, high school football, Friday night. I'm sorry, my son, I think it was a Thursday night game, whatever. It was on ESPN. My son was like, Dad, that's that quarterback that we played against when we played when we went to Dallas. I was like, oh, okay, that is him. We smoked them 39 zip. And that was taking it easy. We could have put more points up on them. And my son was covering a kid that was 6'3", like 206 pounds. This kid was big. Saw when I was at Oklahoma, the running back on that team was riding on the golf cart with us, and it was taking me back to the car. And the guy said, I said, where you from? He was a recruit. He said, oh, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm from Dallas, whatever. So I told him, he said, yeah, man, I was on that team. I didn't play. And I was like, oh, okay. And I asked him about that. Why? He said, the kid don't even want to play football no more. He's playing basketball now.
Dang.
I was like, yeah, because he was big. But like you say, those guys have peaked out. So Butch is dead on. I didn't even know he said that in the documentary, but I know personally he pretty much said the same thing to me.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, man, he's smart. Because, you got to think, some of these kids, they go home, ain't nobody home. So they only eat breakfast at school, lunch at school, and that's it. My uncle was coaching. My uncle was coaching the youth team, and he said, man, there'd be kids. He said, I'm telling you, they wouldn't eat all weekend. He said he had to come over my house. And he said these kids didn't eat during the weekend. Mom would be gone. I'm like, wow.
It's real out there because, for one, we're a little different than the guys that are from the deep south in Texas, and because, they pretty much, their family members are real thick, and big, or whatever, just because. And some of those kids go through the same thing that these kids go through down here. But just naturally, just by inheritance, they're bigger. And then you get the kids from the South Florida area that we run a lot. We play football year round because the weather is perfect for us. These kids run track. So we're going to be naturally almost slim for the most part. That you get where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I got you.
And then you have the kids that just like other kids from around the country who don't have much. And then they come into school and that's all they eating, like you said, which is true. When I was at Jackson, some of my boys would be eating potato chips out of the machine for breakfast.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
And it's like, dang, man, you guys are eating snacks for breakfast. And then you have certain people in these schools that try to treat these kids like crap when that's supposed to be their environment where they're supposed to feel safe, feel more comfort. I ain't seen no abuse or no thing like that, but I've seen some stuff where sometimes it's like, man, like, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you bringing your problems to the school to mess with these kids? At the end of the day, they are kids. And I'm not just talking about athletes. I'm just talking about students.
Oh, man. Hey,
sometimes you have to question certain people. So, it is what it is.
I know. I've been to some practices, and I'm like, oh, this guy, that was mine.
And that's another thing as far as coaching. And a lot of people might, and I only can speak for being here because this is where I'm from and this is what I've been seeing. As far as since me becoming a coach after retiring from the league, there's a lot of screaming and yelling, and that's not coaching. When it's like that, a kid will become to tune you out and don't want to play for you.
Or don't you think if you don't, if you yell at them all the time, right? When it's really time to yell at them, they're not like, oh, it's normal,
Yeah.
You're like, come on.
Yeah. Like you don't we expect you to do things the right way. Once you done been in the system, you done got it. We expect you. And I say we, I mean as a coach. We expect you to do things. We expect that. You're supposed to make that play. That's why I tell kids, we believe in you. You're supposed to make that play. Now, when you don't make that play, or whatever the case may be, you have to get on them. As far as when I say get on them, I'm talking about, teaching them, not just yelling at him, and going at him like that, So that's the way it is.
And,
All right, thank you.
all right, here we go. Last thing. Last thing. Uncle Luke was talking about, tweeted out last week about Miami's recruiting too many private school kids. But don't you think a lot of these private school kids, and not, he said not enough inner city kids, but don't you think a lot of these private school kids are coming from the inner city?
Man, listen, man. I saw that tweet and I was like, what the heck is Luke talking about? You know? And here's the thing, bro. Alabama recruiting these kids,
Yeah.
LSU recruiting these kids, and they recruiting a lot of them.
But I'm thinking,
Oklahoma.
I'm just thinking, most of these private schools are majority white, right? Because they pay to go. But the athletes they
Right.
got coming in are not coming from the same neighborhood. They're coming from some of them the inner city. They're getting a better school and a better opportunity, and they take it. So I can't agree with what he's saying here.
Let me tell you, I had a kid when I was coaching at Jackson, and two of them had an opportunity to play at Heritage, and that's when I had left Jackson, and then they had an opportunity to play at Heritage, and for whatever reason, they didn't play. The kids wanted to go, but parents, and I get it, I guess they didn't want them to come way up here, whatever the case might be. But if this me, and I'm different, meaning my son goes here. I live up this way. But if my child had the opportunity to go to St. Thomas, to go to American Heritage, why wouldn't I want to put him in that environment? Why wouldn't I want him to go? American Heritage is the top private school in the country.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, how can you beat that?
100% goes to college. And guess what? And the athletic program has been voted the top athletic program twice, like within the past 7 years. Football, baseball, track, everything. They do good over there. I'm talking Max Prep's the number one school in the country in athletics twice, like within the past, I think 5 or 7 years. And then you get this opportunity. It's like you're at a college before you get to college. Academics, you're gonna be tough. You're gonna be challenged, tough, a little tougher. But at the same time, you're getting that good one-on-one education where the classrooms are maybe 12 kids, maybe 15 kids in the classroom. Instead of the class having 35 kids or 25 kids inside of the classroom, 30 kids. And then you get the opportunity to play, to go out of town to play a national game, and stuff like that. Now, don't get it twisted. I like my inner city school. I grew up in Liberty City. I grew up in Scott Projects. I went to Lily C. Evans Elementary School. And the only reason why I didn't go to Northwestern because both of my parents went to Northwestern because I lived on the north side of the railroad tracks that they bust us out. What the heck is that? So they bust us out from because of the early 70s to integrate the schools. They bust us out to Thomas Jefferson Junior High. From there, I went to North Miami Senior High. And my brother played at North Miami. So I wanted to go to North Miami since I was like in the 5th grade. And that was just something different for me that I saw when I would go to the games. I went to an all-black elementary school. The only people that were Hispanic or white were some of the teachers.
Get out of
and
here.
And then I go, dude,
not
I'm
one
telling
white
you.
kid.
It sounds crazy, right?
Not one white kid.
Not one white kid.
Oh.
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not old. You know what I mean? So I went to Lily C. Evans Elementary School. There was not one white child, one Hispanic child in my school. The only person that I saw that was white or Hispanic was Miss Flores, who was our Spanish teacher. I had Miss Diaz, who was my 6th grade teacher. And then you had other few white teachers or Hispanic teachers at the school. So when I'm in the 5th grade, and then I go watch my brother play high school football at North Miami, and I'm seeing like the crowd and you got white kids, you got Hispanic kids, you got black kids, you got the kids from the islands. And these games, in the student section used to be right in the middle of the stand on the 50-yard line. They used to have a pom-pom. That's when I started seeing people with the classic Reebok shoes. Remember those shoes?
Yeah.
And this is what I'm seeing as a kid. And I'm like, wow. And as a kid growing up, I went to all the Northwestern games where the crowd used to be crunk. Ooh, there it is. Before the song even came out. That's what they used to be saying. I'm so glad to wear blue and gold. I used to be all in that because my parents went to the West. So I would go to those games when I was a little boy. Then when I see my brother playing at North of Miami, and then his senior year, they were real good. And I was like, man, that's where I'm going to school. Even though that was where I was zoned to go to school, even though I grew up in Liberty City. So when I went to Thomas Jefferson Junior High, now I'm actually experiencing this. I'm going to Thomas Jefferson Junior High, and I'm in school with white kids, Hispanic kids, kids from the islands. So that was something that I wanted because I would watch Different Strokes, Kids Incorporated, Ricky Schroeder, I forgot the name of that show back in the days. So by me watching TV, you're thinking as a child, like, man, it would be cool to go to school to see what, other people are like. Because my parents never taught me to judge someone because of their race or their sex. Now, my parents educated me on what went on back in the days. They grew up in the civil rights era. So I wasn't stupid. I wasn't lame when it came to that. But my parents never told me to discriminate against somebody because I always judge people off their character. So me as a child, watching TV and seeing stuff like that, but I'm going to school and everybody's just black, the kids, the students. And then when I go to a junior high school and it's everybody do it, it was like, whoa. It was like, I don't even want to say it was a culture shock to me, but it was just something that like, oh man, this is dope. That was my attitude. But I kind of experienced it a little bit because my brother had played at North Miami, where the crowd was mixed. So if I have a child and if I was in a situation like if I was raising my son in a situation like where I grew up and he had the opportunity to go to American Heritage, St. Thomas, Columbus, if that's where he wanted to go and he had the opportunity to go, why not? Because when he go to college, he's gonna have to go with that. Unless you go to an HBCU school.
Well, isn't that what you?
And guess what?
Well, isn't that what you want? You give your kid better than what you had. Isn't that the goal?
That's always the goal.
You see, so that's why I'm not understanding what he's saying here. I don't get it.
But my son, and I'm just using my son as an example because I don't want to speak on nobody else's child because I don't know nobody else's child when it comes to stuff like this. As far I can only speak on mine. My son ain't never grew up in the hood. Fortunately, I was able to play 9 years in the league. So he doesn't live where I grew up. And like you said, that's because my hard work, the grace of God, for what I did. So I can provide better for him. Now, do I educate him on stuff and everything when it comes to social issues and all that? Of course I do. Now, from the jump, he was either going to go to St. Thomas or he was going to go to American Heritage. That's where he was going to school. It was either one of those two schools. Now, where I'm getting at, what I'm saying is, this kid ain't grow up a day in the hood. He ain't never had to worry about not having a meal on the table. This is not a knock on nobody, because where I'm getting at, you're going to understand where I'm coming from. So now this kid got offers from LSU, Oklahoma. I know it's not officially there, but I can't really speak on it. But that Alabama one, that's there. It's going to be there. Because from what I was told, the coach who I'm communicating with is not his place. So then we went up there. He got to get it from the big dog, which I got to take him back in February. So he get recruited by all these schools, including Miami and a few others. He got these offers from. And when I took him to the West game after they beat us, when they played the the game
Yeah.
the next week. You know what felt so good, which I don't need no stamp of approval from anybody because I know my child, I know what he does, and the eye in the sky don't lie. When we were sitting in line waiting, people were like, "This your boy? Oh man, dog, you a dog, you a baller, you this and that." Then we get inside the stadium, because I'm from the area. A lot of
Yeah.
people over there know me. They see him with me. Hey boy, he was getting so much love and so much props for the way he played. And people like, man, we didn't know, man, you tall. I didn't know you was that tall. That's what people saying to him. So we get in the car and we leaving. And like I said, I don't really talk ball with him, but it just felt so good. And I don't need no stamp of approval from anyone. But one thing, I can show you an article that was written on me about me being voted as one of the best safety since the Browns came back, and all that. But I said to my son in the car, we driving, I said, you see all that respect and all that props you was getting for those people? He kind of like had a little smile on his face and he shook his head, yeah. And I told him, I said, boy, it ain't nothing better than getting respect from your peers and fans that watch you play. That's one of the best feelings that you could ever have, because when fans will appreciate the way you play the game and they tell you that when they meet you, or you being voted for something and people in your peers. I remember Blaine Bishop that played for the Tennessee Titans safety. We used to be in the AFC South my first couple of years in Cleveland. And after one game, he came up to me. I'm walking off the field after the game. He came up to me. I turned around, I looked, I was like, what's that? He said, Little. I turned around, I looked, and it was him. I was like, oh, what's up? And he was like, man, I just want to let you know, man, I appreciate the way you play the game. Now, this is an all-pro, Pro Bowl dude, and he coming up to me and telling me that. Dude, that's one of the best feelings that you can have as a player, when your game is being respected. So by him going out there playing his butt off against the West, and then people come seeing him play, throughout the year, that's respect, man. So my point is, my son ain't growing up in the inner city. He had a private school, but guess what? He a baller.
Yeah, he is. All right, here we
Don't
go.
think he can't play. Just, huh?
Here we go. Last question, right? It's the one everyone wants to know. Then we'll end this. Were you upset that Miami didn't offer earlier?
I wasn't upset. It just makes you scratch your head when you in it as a parent now, and all this stuff is coming around like during the spring. Because listen, I get a call from my boy DP at Heritage, defensive coordinator, and he says, this before, like I said, I came on staff 2 weeks before the season, so this is during spring ball, like this early, but this last spring, and he was like, Miami's gonna be at the school, or they at the school, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing when I say that.
I got you.
And he was just like, they hopefully they offer a little E. And I'm saying to myself, well, he ain't really putting no work in. You know what I mean? That's how I am about this. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then so my boy Rump came out to the school, I think 2 days later, and then my son got in the car when I picked him up, and then he was like, I saw Coach Rump today, and I was like, oh yeah. I said, what happened? He said, no, we were just talking, and he told me, he wasn't number 4 in high school because of you and this and that. He should look up to you when you played at Miami. Yeah, because I remember Rump told me that himself years ago. It's not me bigging myself up. It's just a conversation that my son took. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was that. I didn't ask him, hey, did they offer you or nothing? Because I really wasn't on it like that. Now, during the spring, now he's practicing. Schools are coming out there. They seeing him. He's starting to get these offers. He's shooting their text. Dad, I just got an offer from here. I just got an offer from this school. Now I tell him, hey, just keep grinding. Don't get caught up in that. Just keep grinding. Just keep grinding. It's good, but keep grinding. That's all I would tell him. Keep working. And that's that. So now we go to LSU. We didn't go up there thinking we going to get no offer or none of that stuff. Coach Ozeron, saw him, talking to him. offered him. I wasn't even there when he offered him. I was inside the field house. He had met this kid. Dang, I can't even come up with his name right now. He committed to my LSU right now. Him and Earl went and grabbed something to eat. They came back, and the kid was like, "Man, tell him." I was like, "What happened?" He told me, he's like, "Hey, Coach Ogeron just offered me that, this is that, whatever, whatever." I was like, "Okay." Then we met with Coach the next day. That's when we talked with Coach, and all that. So he's a 2022 kid, Earl. So I'm sitting at the house, and I'm looking, and I see Miami offer a 2023 kid. And I was like, I said, you see Miami offer such and such? And he was like, yeah. And the way he said it, I was like, wow. I knew something wasn't, you get where I'm coming from?
I got you.
You wasn't feeling it. So it wasn't me. But I just was like, well, dang. Here you got a kid that's balling out, getting offers off the strength of people seeing him in the spring in practice. And then a 2023 kid. So that was that. And then, it's starting to pick up more. Then, you get like these schools asking him to come up there and watch them play. And then, you know what? I could take him over there to these games. So we'll play Friday night, Saturday morning, we fly. We go to Oklahoma. We go to Texas. We go to Alabama. We go to LSU. Then they finally offer him. And then they're not playing too good. And then they finally offer him. And then, so I'm just like, I just don't want, like I said, I kept in contact because I didn't want at the end of the day, because I love my school and I got so much respect for my school. I wanted them to be in the loop. And if I ever meet you in person, I can show you text messages because I don't even want to put it out there like that. I can show you that I want them to be in the loop, to have every opportunity that they can. Now, it's his decision to go where he want to go because he don't have to go to Miami. I went to Miami. He don't have to go to Miami because this is his dream. This is not mine. This is his decision and all that. I'm going to support him no matter what. His mom and I, we got his back from hell and back, from heaven and back, from the moon and back. We got it. So now, that's on them. I'm not saying that my son not going to go to Miami. They don't have a shot. But I'm going to tell you right now, they didn't make it easy for themselves.
I know. He told us. He said they got work to do. That's what he told us.
There it is. He told you. They got work to do because right now, because I asked him straight up. And I don't really get into this with him because, like I said, I don't want him to be all, going crazy about this stuff. I asked him, I said, if you had to make a list, what would be your list? And I should be letting him tell you this or whatever, but I just put it out there. He said LSU, Bama, Oklahoma, Miami. Now the dude that's why I always put, when I put certain things up there, I put hashtag, process just getting started. Yeah. Dude got 2 more years, man. You know what I mean?
I know. Well,
2 more years.
Oh, I could keep going and going. I'm telling you, I got some more stuff I could ask you, but I gotta go.
I mean, go ahead. I mean,
I gotta go get the kids, Rob. Man, I'll keep going because there's another big question I could ask you. But I'm gonna have to get you back on here again. I got your number. But don't
plug me in.
I got you. Hey, Earl, man, thanks for calling, man. It's been over 2 hours, man. I appreciate you, man, and it's been a great show. I'm gonna get you back on here again, though, for sure.
All right, anytime, man. Just hit me up.
All right, appreciate it, man. With that, hey,
all right, brother,
we're out of here, folks.
What's up?